In this tutorial, we will demonstrate how to allocate items to a deployment, create a deployment database, connect to the deployment database, then return your items with their updated records back to the originating system. In order to access the temporary item transfer deployment screen, you must make sure your logged-in user has the access shopcode transfer permission. Clicking on Tools, Temporary Item Transfer/Deploy opens the form where we will begin the process. Since we are deploying items, we need to click on the Deployment tab. In Step 1, we must select a deployment. If there is no deployment, we can create one by giving it a name and clicking Add or hitting Enter on the keyboard. Once the deployment is selected, for Step 2, we need to select the shopcode that we will be deploying items from. In this instance, we only have one shopcode to choose from. Step 3 allows you to select which items to deploy. You can type or scan the barcode of the item you want to deploy, and it will be added to the list on the right.
Transferred.
If the item we are deploying is a kit, the system will deploy the kit and its children.
Transferred.
We can also select items to deploy from the item search screen. Once we double-click on the kit that we want to deploy and confirm it's in our selected items grid, clicking Finish will add that kit and its children to the deployment. Be cautious when using the Add All Selected Rows and Add All Rows buttons, as there is no easy way to remove them from the grid.
Transferred.
Now we can export our deployment to a new database to take it with us on a CD or a removable storage device. Clicking the Export for Deployment button brings up the Export dialog box. First, select the Set Destination button to choose the name and location of the deployment database to be created. Next, select the deployment to export from the list of deployments. If you are using the user site system, you can select if you would like to limit users to your selected site. If you are not using the system, you will not need to check this box. Clicking Export creates a database and the dialog box confirms the location once the export is complete. This creates an SEDF file, which is exported from the main system. On return, you will be using an SIDF to import back into the main system. Switching to our deployment computer, we must make sure our logged-in user has the Access Import/Export screen to connect or import our deployment database. Selecting File, Deployment Connection Options, we will be asked to log in to access the form. For this example, we will be connecting to the deployment database we created as if this was the first database to arrive to the deployment area. If we were joining another team that already has a deployment TCMax database running, we would select Merge to combine our data with theirs. Clicking the Connect button allows you to select the SEDF file we created on the main system. This changes the existing database connection to our deployment database and requires TCMax to restart. During the restart, you will be brought to the Sites and Shop screen. You must select the shop your deployed items are in to be able to interact with them. Looking at an item search, we can see that only our deployment items are here. To see your items in Item Search without any search criteria, you must enable search options, load grid with blank search criteria. Selecting an item that has inspections, we can view them on the main screen and update them. This data will be imported back to the main database when we return, along with many other updates and actions. To create a database to bring back to the main workstation, we need to return to the Deployment Connection Manager screen. Clicking Copy Database allows us to select a location for the copy of the database. Once completed, a dialog box confirms this location. This new created file must be transferred to removable media to be returned back to the main workstation. Switching back to the main workstation to import the data from the database we have from our deployment, we enter the Temporary Transfer/Deployment screen and click on the Deployment tab. When we click on the Return from Deployment button, we must select the source database, which is the database we brought back from our deployment computer. It is best to copy this file locally before selecting it. Under Deployment Selections, you will see a list of deployments in the database you can select from that match deployments created from the main workstation. Under Options, you can choose to update the main workstation database with data from the deployment, which updates item details with any changes made while the item was on deployment, and returning the items from deployment. If you do not return items from deployment, the records will be updated, but the items will remain deployed. Clicking Import brings over our deployment records. When complete, we can click on the confirmation box and close on the import window. Notice the items that were deployed are no longer deployed. On the main screen, if we scan our item that had the inspections updated, we can see the updated inspection records. In conclusion, opening Log Search and filtering the inventory events shows us that the log records that were created on the deployment have been copied to the main workstation.
For more TCMax videos and tutorials, subscribe to our channel. For more up-to-date information on TCMax, you can also follow us on social media.